So the cartoons that we're showing are graphic, but they're cartoons, I guess. These are couples having sex in bed. What age are these shown to?
4 and up, kindergarten, so let's say 4, 5 and up, and then
4, 5 and up. So your kindergartner goes to class, and there's putting on a condom.
And it's pornography for that age. Look at that. I mean, if you don't blur that out, that is vulgar. For that young of a mind, a 5-year-old, it's corruptive. There's no question that it corrupts that young mind, and it makes that, it heightens the inquisitive factor. They're now going to go look for this online.
So, how many states is this in?
27, and it's spreading like a brush fire. Started in California, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Governor Newsom signed it, then Inslee in Washington, the same old players, and then it just spread like a brush fire.
Now, it was supposed to be voted in already in Texas. It is in Austin School District.
Right.
So
yes.
It might be in 27 states, but in some states it's all over. In other places, it might not be in the state except for one school district.
One school district, because that superintendent may have opted in, because there's also federal funding attached to this program.
Oh, good.
If you teach it in your school, then there's federal funding, even for charter schools or private schools. So those schools are not immune to this. It's up to the superintendent in some of those states. Now, in California, it's the law. In Texas, our governor said, I'm not going to touch this. The State Board of Education will, and they're now going back and forth to say, what do we eliminate from this curriculum and what do we not? But they absolutely do want to teach this in Texas.
Okay, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Tell me that these are unrelated. And Glenn, you're a conspiracy theorist, okay? There is a common, this is from the curriculum, there's a common misconception that young people are not or should not be sexual beings with the exception of certain groups, such as married young people or young people above a certain age. Sexuality is central aspect of being human during all phases of each person's life. So there's the teaching. Legislation making its way through several states right now. New California bill. In fact, we have, this was lowering penalties first before that video. They just passed a bill overwhelmingly lowering penalties for adults who have sexual relations with minors.
SB 145.
Related?
Absolutely related, by design. Normalizing sex. They want to lower the age of consent. They want to classify pedophilia in our country as a sexual orientation, Glenn. And it's a slippery slope.
We're already doing it. We've heard it recently.
And it's legal in the classroom because of a statute. This is the Obscenity Exemption Statute, 1970. That said, obscene material that's against the law anywhere outside of the following: curriculum, any curriculum, K through grad school, right? Museums and libraries. This is legal. There's a loophole in that obscenity exemption statute.
See, here's the problem with this. If anyone would bring this to my child and give this to a child, even a family member,
That's right,
would just give this to my child, I would be outraged. Outraged.
No question.
Where it's giving advice, if you're bored at COVID, go online. Go online. Date yourself, porn, have solo sex. Go online and learn how to use sex toys and tips for dirty talk. If this was handed out by anyone that I knew and knew the family, I would never speak to them again.
Go to war.
And it's just being handed out by teachers?
Yeah, Glenn, it's also encouraged in that same curriculum, and there's a series of books. In that same curriculum, it's encouraged that the experimentation needs to happen.
Yeah, third graders are supposed to experiment by masturbating each other.
Yes.
Right?
On one another, so that they have an awakening to what a healthy sexual partner would look like. I don't want my third grade to have a sexual partner. Never mind a healthy sexual partner. No sexual partner. If you present this at the kitchen table for breakfast, I think to any sane American family, they will revolt.
A sane American family is not going to believe this is real.
That's a problem, but that's why it exists. It exists because it's a mist that is blown, and it's a desensitization over a long period of time. When we talk about child sexual exploitation, people think it's just this random, guy down the street. It's very coordinated, Glenn. It's infiltrating the schools. It's to break down our moral fiber and the family structure. And that's how you're going to drive America to its knees. What will these kids look like 2 decades from now, Glenn? When they've had these multiple sexual partners at age 3, 5, 10, or the law in California where a 25-year-old can literally sexually molest and abuse a 16-year-old and will not have to register as a sex offender, will not face the penalties. These cases don't go to trial. This is what's happening in our nation.
Let me give you one, and please explain this. This is from, this video was taken of a vote in the California State Assembly this year. I want you to watch this.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm proud to present AB 2218, which would provide medical and direct support services for the TGI community. We all know there's been alarming disparities for healthcare for transgender people in our state, and it's only been exacerbated by COVID-19. It's vital that we provide resources to the TGI community to access appropriate health care. And I respectfully ask this body for an aye vote.
Okay, overwhelmingly, they voted aye. What were they voting on?
They were voting in 45 seconds that passed, and they were voting what is called the Sterilization Act. They call it the Transgender Equity Fund. It's taxpayer funded to give a child sexual agency, Glenn. If a 3-year-old girl says, "Mom, I think I'm a boy," that 3-year-old in California, according to that bill, can go to Planned Parenthood and get a drug called Lupron, which is a drug for prostate cancer that they use, and it is a puberty blocker. That girl will never have a menstrual cycle and will be permanently sterilized so that she can easier transition when she's 18. It's legal eugenics. It's legal sterilization in our country, California, and it passed with a blink of an eye.
It's evil. This is just evil. It's been evil for 150 years. Karl Marx was an evil dude. I have a guy on television, on radio tomorrow that's going to be talking about the devil and Karl Marx and new research that has been found that's been hidden in the Soviet Union for forever. And then the educational gurus dismissed it and hid it some more. But there's what's being sold to our family and to our society is evil. And it will play out exactly the same way it did in the 1930s, the 1940s, the 1950s, in some of the worst places in the world. It will play out. Have you noticed people are talking about China is the new model for capitalism, state-controlled capitalism? That's called National Socialism. I mean, it's not exactly communism, not exactly National Socialism, but that's the closest thing to it, where the government calls the shots. The government can sterilize and abort and kill whoever they want. It's evil. Where are our churches? Where are the moms and dad? I know you're busy, but I beg you, please do your own homework. Do not take my word on any of this. So far, they're not hiding anything, but they will. This is the same thing we went through with Common Core. Same thing. Same thing. They changed Agenda 21 once we exposed it to Agenda 2030. They just shoved it, repackaged it, and everybody said it was over. It's not. Evil is on the march. We are not cattle. We are lions that must roar for liberty, or we will lose our children quickly. So how does all this play out in real time, and what can you do? I'll show you next.